gentlemen, good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to another episode of the Speak the Truth podcast. I'm your host, Matt Tardio. Today's episode is actually being brought to you by Upwork and Bilt. We have a lot of news coming at you today. There's an active shooter situation going on over inside of Michigan. Suspect is still at large, the last I heard. Sounds like there's one person injured. Israel has gone into Gaza. Israel has been attacked by rocket fire. Last night they had a ballistic missile. Well, it's last night for us here in the United States, but over inside of Israel, it happened around 4 a.m. their time. Russia's getting throttled up over on the front line. It is just a freaking crazy, crazy filled day. Ladies and gentlemen, just wait. Just wait. It is just now beginning. Before we get going, ladies and gentlemen, a quick word from our sponsor. Your company's growing, congratulations, and scaling up your business requires expertise, but it also requires time. And let's be honest, time is money, and posting ads on the internet the old school fashioned way kind of sucks, right? Well, ladies and gentlemen, check this out. Allow me to introduce you to Upwork. They have over 2 decades worth of experience with simple and ambitious goals to pioneer a better way of working. Companies at every stage turn to Upwork to get things done and to find more flexibility in the way they staff key projects and initiatives by accessing a global marketplace filled with the top talent in IT, web development, AI, design, admin support, marketing, and much more. Posting a job on Upwork is easy with no cost to join. You can register, browse freelancer profiles, get help drafting a job, and Now, before we get going today, I want to give you guys, an idea of what's like going on over here on this channel. We are doing our best to build people into intellectual thinkers. Our major goal here is to build intellectual honesty. That's right, intellectual honesty. And I think every single one of you is going to thoroughly enjoy what I have up for you today, because there was a warning that came out yesterday about ISIS-K potentially conducting active shooters at hospitals, followed on by like bombs and explosive, whatever, right? It sounds like, let me get this up on your screen and like bring this up for you guys, okay? What it sounds like when I put this up here for you. What it sounds like is that there was a domestic situation at this hospital over in, I believe it was called Troy, Michigan. And that active shooter situation hasn't necessarily been resolved yet. Word that I got was that they are still out there looking for the suspect. Shooting took place reportedly inside of a parking lot maybe, and that the victim is now inside of the ER getting taken care of. Suspect vehicle was located, and then they ended up like chasing off and running around looking for the suspect. The police were clearing the hospital, the last that I heard. And right now, no word yet on whether or not that suspect has been detained. But I do have a feeling that if the suspect is detained, we are going to hear about it rather quickly. But it sounds like the scene at least is under control. Nobody else has been injured. No tell yet whether or not that this is connected to any of the warnings from ISIS as before, but I can't help but wonder about the timing with Israel going into the Gaza Strip, Houthis firing a ballistic missile, and all sorts of other crap that's going on, whether or not this is going to be inspired by like one of those terror organizations. Bo Williams coming in gifting out 5 Speak the Truth memberships. Greatly appreciate you, Bo. Really, really do. Now, before the left takes this incident and starts to run away with it, I wanted to bring this up and like point this out to you. This is the FBI's website on active shooters, and they have a document for it. And I brought this up and I showed it to people the other day. When you scroll down after the executive summary and everything else, and boop, 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 there it is right here, right up on your screen. Okay, and I'm going to, can I zoom in on this thing? Yeah, you can. If I zoom in on this, all right, if I zoom in on this, of course, oh yeah, now you're stuck. Okay, good. Look, let me blow this up for people at home so that you guys can see this. This little circle right down here at the bottom where it says firearms used, handgun 43, rifle 16 out of the 48 incidents that occurred in 26 states back in 2023, which are the latest numbers that the FBI has came out and actually released on active shooter incidents. We don't have the 2024 release yet, but what it tells you is that 72% of the firearms used in active shooter situations are pistols. That's what it says. Well, the FBI used the term handgun because they're playing to the layperson, but pistols is what's actually used. Rifles only account for about 27% of the incidents. So the major issue, if we're going to actually go after firearms, is that. As far as any other information that's been released out of the hospital on scene on the ground, that's what we have. The police are going through, clearing the hospital. The suspect's vehicle was located. The suspect is currently on foot. One victim, at least one victim that we've heard of this incident, and it is a potential, what I heard, is there is a potential that it was a domestic incident. And when I say domestic incident, I don't mean domestic terrorism. I mean possibly a domestic violence incident, something like that. Like the shooter knew the victim. So I don't even know whether or not it's fair to say it's an active shooter incident. It sounds like it could just be an individual targeting somebody else. But until more information actually comes out, we need to kind of wait and see for, what the result of that's going to be. The timing is a little bit odd to me that it's happening. Now, a couple months ago, I ended up telling you guys, after Trump came into office, that there was word that the 82nd Airborne could be going over to the southern border. I heard that they got put on alert, things like that. It was Joe rumor, right? We had Joe rumor that the 82nd Airborne could be going to the southern border. Well, it looks like the 82nd Airborne has arrived down at the southern border of the United States of America. How amazing is that? So now, you screwed up, cartel, because the 82nd Airborne is in town. Now, these ones, they look like admin troops. I'm not going to lie. They kind of remind me of admin troops. I don't know why. They just have that feeling to them. It's just, I don't know. I don't know. Anybody else, like Army guys, you guys vouch for me on this one? They feel like admin troops, but it doesn't matter. You done screwed up when the 82nd Airborne comes to town. What was that hurricane that blew through Louisiana? It was a huge freaking deal. Was it Louisiana? Yeah, years and years ago. It was like a decade plus ago when that happened. They sent the 82nd Airborne in because there was a bunch of rioting and all of that crap that was taking place down there. I know somebody's going to jump up and be like, Matt, you're talking about this. I had a buddy, Katrina, thank you, Hurricane Katrina. So when all of that was taking place, people were told to leave from Hurricane Katrina, and you ended up having a lot of issues down there. There was a lot of looting taking place, a lot of shooting, all sorts of crap. I actually heard, whether or not it's true, I don't know, that they actually got CIBs. I don't think they got combat infantryman's badge for it, but I do know that there was actually some gunfights that were taking place between members of the 82nd Airborne. They don't play around, ladies and gentlemen. And we got the 82nd now that's down on the southern border. That is a huge, huge increase. Was that seriously 20 years ago? Seriously? No, it couldn't have been 20 years ago. God, man, that makes me feel old as freaking sin. 20 years ago? God bless, man. Well, either way, however long ago it was when Katrina ended up happening, they ended up going down there. And I ended up being told by a friend of mine that all of those things were taking place down there. And yes, there was absolutely rumors of Blackwater down there sniping dudes and everything else. There was also rumors that CAG or Delta Force, if you will, was down in the area doing that as well. So whether or not people are going to say it was Blackwater, CAG, whoever it was, there was definitely a lot of violence that was taking place down there. Dirt Diver says close to 20 years ago. Jeez, man. Wow, that's like one of those grounding moments where you're like, did that actually happen? And it turns out, sounds like it most definitely happened. So apologize for that, that it did in fact happen, but it's fine. We got that taken care of, right? So let's continue this ball rolling. Now, some of you guys don't know that John Fetterman was actually over in Israel. Yeah, not a big fan of the guy myself, but he went and he touched ground in Israel the other day. There was pictures of him standing over outside of the West Wall, going around, getting all sorts of tours and everything else. And I find it really ironic that last night when we were doing our live stream after the ballistic missile attack from the Houthis fired at Israel, which ended up confirmed by the way it was shot down, it didn't even enter Israeli airspace. So the warning ended up going off. Israelis ended up scrambling all over the place. And then we got word that it was shot down somewhere in the freaking desert, possibly southern Israel, something of that nature, but nothing was confirmed. Today, there was multiple rockets that got fired at Israel, Tel Aviv to be specific. I believe it was 3 that ended up getting shot. I've got lots of footage of that coming up for you guys here in just a sec. But John Fetterman was over inside of Israel, and he actually visited Netanyahu, ladies and gentlemen. Check this out.
Everything? How about giving him a beeper?
It's like,
Now, this is a silver-plated beeper. The real beeper is like 1/10 the weight. It's nothing.
Really?
Yeah, but it changes history.
you know, when that story, that story broke,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, I love it. And now it's like, thank you for this. Yeah, no, all right. Thank you.
Come on, how cool is that?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm not a fan of freaking John Fetterman. I don't really care. I know a lot of people like him. I know I wear hoodies, backwards hats, and things like that on a daily basis. But I think there was something to be said. You know what I mean? And maybe not. Well, let me take this back. But dude, don't wear shorts in a hoodie to freaking Netanyahu's house, bro. Like, what the heck is wrong with you? But the man pulls it off. He gets in there and he gets gifted a freaking silver-plated beeper. Bro, Can I have one? Seriously? Israel? Anybody? Israel? Silver-plated beeper? Speak the Truth podcast? Can we please get a silver-plated beeper? That would be one of the freaking coolest things in the world. I would love to have one of those. But they hooked up John Fetterman with it, which, it's fine. They can give it to John Fetterman. It is what it is. Yeah. Blah. Blah. All right. So launches ended up coming out of Khan Yunis up over towards Israel. They ended up having like a huge rocket attack that ended up not a huge rocket attack, but word of that rocket attack that was coming out or a little bit earlier today. John Hess becoming a true supporter. Good to have you in the freaking house, buddy. This is one of those rockets that actually ended up getting fired from over there, and we have like images and whatnot of Hamas loading these up. These weren't like the little crappy homemade, well, they're crappy homemade rockets, but they're Hamas rockets, right? But they were some of the larger ones. Check this out. There you go. Great. We also have situation operational update that's going to be taking place. But before we do that, I got to finish like showing you guys all these different freaking rockets being fired. That's a little bit longer one. Alerts went out across Tel Aviv. People got warned that the rockets were coming in. Iron Dome did, in fact, end up shooting one of them down. So one of the rockets got shot out of the sky. Two others just splashed in the middle of nowhere. They were projected not to hit anybody or anything, so they just let it kind of happen because that's what Israel does. You're not just going to fire random stuff out there because you can. That one video that I ended up showing you, this one looks like it's got a little bit more footage of it being fired off. There it goes. That's a little bit after the fact. There they go. There's your little 3 rocket streams going out there. And again, coming out of Khan Yunis. I want you to take a look. I want you to take a look at the terrain inside of Khan Yunis because, ladies and gentlemen, this is just the beginning. All right, this is just the beginning. This video is coming out of Khan Yunis. I'm going to pull up the map. I'm going to give you a sit rep for where Israeli troops are going into and what they're doing. I also have some other pretty sweet footage that we're going to be going over as well today, coming out of the Gaza Strip. Here is a photo in case you're wondering what these rockets look like. Orderly Chaos coming in, gifting out a Speak the Truth membership. Now, take a look at those suckers. Those are the types of rockets that Hamas actually fired off today. This propaganda video that you guys are taking a look at over here, this is exactly that. It's a propaganda video. So you see people wearing helmets and matching uniforms and all other crap. What I'm hearing is that they are not being found with uniforms anymore, that all of the freaking troop movements and the dead freaking Hamas holes over inside of Gaza, they all stripped their uniforms off, and so they're not wearing those again. Did you hear that Russia opened a new front into Ukraine and what's going on in Kursk? I have heard things about that. I also heard that Ukraine opened up a new front over in Russia the other day in the vicinity of Belgorod. We're going to talk about all of that crap here in just a little bit. This is a chunk of one of those rockets. That's how we're able to look and say, hey, look, these are the types of rockets that ended up, being fired because of this right here. Okay. That is the tail fin from the rocket itself, and you can see how it's detached from the rocket body. Normally what's going, I'm not going to get into all of it. It doesn't matter. But the tail fin was actually found on the ground. They were able to identify that sucker, and it was found in Rishon LeZion center. It's basically the center region of Israel. Okay, so if you were to go and look it up, I suppose now is a good time as ever before we start talking about troop movements and everything else, because the Israelis are, in fact, going in and doing troop movements. And before we get into that, I think maybe now is a good time to pop open the map and give you guys a situational update on what's going on over there. So give me a sec while I open my handy dandy friend Google Maps. Yeah, I could go over to ISW or some other site and we could talk about everything that's going on. But the problem with ISW and all those other sites is I end up getting a lot of random information from people on the ground over inside of Israel. And then I'm also over there trolling kind of like the back channels, Telegram channels and things like that of people that are inside of Gaza that are complaining about things. That's how I knew about tank movements and things like that were taking place over inside of Lebanon when the Lebanese war kicked off. You got to be able to monitor all these things. It is a full-time job, believe it or not. I come on here for, a couple hours a day and I talk to everybody, but on the backside when I'm not doing that, that's where I'm pulling all that information from. Incog Faraday coming and giving out 5 Speak the Truth memberships. Greatly appreciate you. Superfly says, hi from Israel. Thanks for supporting us. Oh, shalom. Hey, how's it going, Israel? How are you guys doing? Somebody told me last year that I was a big deal in Israel for a while. Kind of blew my mind. I was like, how did that happen? Where did that come from? All right, so let's go take a look and see what the IDF is up to. And to give everybody kind of update here, because I know we got a lot of people that normally don't tune in that do tune in when things start to pop off. Need to kind of give a sit rep for kind of how all of this stuff went down the other day. And we're going to start with just inside Israel before we even start talking about the ballistic missile that was fired last night, what they're doing, where they're going, and all that other crap. So a couple days ago, Israel decided to start opening up bombing inside of Gaza. Okay, now prior to that, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, off the top of my head, I started getting reports of about 40,000 Israeli Defense Force soldiers that were being stacked up outside of the Gaza Strip. 40,000. I'll say that again. 40,000 IDF soldiers was the report I got being stacked up outside the Gaza Strip. That is a buttload of Israeli soldiers that were stacked up outside of there. 40,000. They had the place completely and totally surrounded. Israel had put out a warning to Syria, I think it was like 2 days ago, which if we were to back out and we go, Israel had put out a warning to Syria and told all of the, I guess you can't even call it Syria anymore, to the de facto government of Syria to keep about 80 kilometers away from the border, or they're going to have to go in and clear all those butt heads out. And they've been fighting a little war down over here in southern Damascus with some of the south of Damascus with the Druze and whatnot, kicking out these terrorists who are going around committing genocide. Anyway, so you got the 40,000 that were stacked up outside of there. Just the other day, they ended up dropping leaflets and a warning. Now, historically in the past, what we have seen as far as Israel goes with this war is we've seen them, before they do bombings or they drop bombs on people, unless it's an absolute imminent threat, they got to get it out the way. They'll end up doing roof knockings. They'll go over there, drop a little, whatever. They do things like that. They'll also warn people. All right. And what I'm telling you right now is I do not believe those warnings are taking place anymore, because over the last several days of these bombing campaigns that were taking place inside Gaza, you were not getting very many videos that are coming out of there. And if you are getting videos, they are after the fact and or right as it's happening, and they're not set up. Now, in the past, if you guys don't believe me, go back and look. All right, go watch any freaking live stream over the last year that I've done on Israel, and you're going to start seeing like bombs hitting buildings inside of Gaza, and they're set up on tripods and everything else. We are not getting those tripod videos anymore. The only type of production videos like that we're getting coming out of Gaza are like the freaking factory produced ones now, right? Like the Gaza Hollywood videos that are coming out of there. Either way, let's talk about some reports of troop movements that we're getting. And it looks like Israel's going right after it. John Wilson coming and gifting out 20 Speak the Truth memberships. Now, yesterday I got reports from a bunch of friends of mine that Israeli Defense Forces had gone into Gaza. All of that started to hit the blotter for like mainstream media and everybody else later on in the evening time, but we knew it was kind of happening. I'm not going to say a word about it until it actually hits the blotter. Well, it ended up hitting yesterday, and people start putting it out, so now I get to start talking about it. And Israel went in and they dropped leaflets. Let me see if I can pull up a quick posting of the leaflet that Israel dropped the other day, because you guys are probably going to want to see this sucker, right? Let me go back here, and I'm going to go back periodically and check for some updates on the active shooter situation as we go along. Hold on, almost there. Let me grab that leaflet for you guys so you can see the evacuation areas and basically what they've been telling people. Netanyahu the other day, he came out and he said, or was it the Israeli? I can't remember. It was Netanyahu, Defense Minister Katz, but either way, they ended up telling Hamas and the people inside Gaza and warning them that if they start killing hostages, that they are going to start annexing portions of Gaza. Now, this is very important to remember, because Netanyahu, over at the beginning of this conflict, said that Israel is going to be responsible. Israel is going to be responsible for the security inside of Gaza for the next 10 years. I'm going to say that again. Israel is going to be responsible for the security inside of Gaza for the next 10 years, according to Benjamin Netanyahu, all the way back in like 2023 when we were first talking about this one. Now, this is the leaflet that they dropped, allegedly, and blasted on the phones. I'll actually send this out to all the cell phones and everything else in the area over there. This isn't the exact leaflet. I took this one and I updated it, and over in Arabic, it actually says GTFO, roughly translated. Now, the initial arrow, and if you guys see it right down here, there's a darker red spot and a darker red spot. They were telling people in this area to move into the center of Khan Yunis. This would be Khan Yunis. Nazareth camp is somewhere around here, and then you have Gaza City, right up in that general vicinity, right? We have lots of reports of troop movements coming out of the north up over here. Okay, so now let me take you back over to the actual map so we can talk about it. So bam, now you can check it out and you can see where it's at on Google Maps, and you go over and now you can actually see the areas and freaking names and everything, right? So Beit Hanon, that has been a massive issue for Israel in the past. They have had tons and tons of problems with freaking Hamas holes coming out of there. And over there in particular, during the very, very beginning of the conflict is where they discovered that some of the battalion headquarters and everything were actually taking place. When Israel had actually backed out of the area, they had to go back into into Jabalia or Jabalia, I forget how to properly pronounce it, this location right down here on the map, and actually started re-clearing. And when they went through and they started re-clearing, that's when the IDF started coming across house-borne IEDs. That's going to be a problem for the Israeli Defense Force because they have been out of the Gaza Strip for quite some time now, which gives Hamas a chance to regroup and reorganize. This whole place, and expect these troop movements to go slow, ladies and gentlemen. And when I say expect these troop movements to go slow, I'm saying expect a quick cordon of a lot of these areas. So they're going to be blasting in and getting a cordon as best as they can. So expect a quick cordon of this area and a search taking place afterwards. Now, I said cordon, and I said cordon for a reason. I didn't say expect to have a mass evacuation corridor because the Israeli Defense Force soldiers have already warned them to GTFO of these different areas. I just showed you the adjusted leaflet that I did telling everybody basically to go into the med and start swimming because they've been the ones supporting the terrorists. Nobody's hidden any of the hostages that are over there. Nobody started an underground network. Israel even offered a buttload of money to the Palestinian people to get those people returned, and no takers, right? None. So imagine that. Not to mention they strangled a baby. Let's just throw that one out there, like while we're at it. So when we start looking at the situation in general, I'm expecting a cordon and search because Donald Trump's actually in office and he's going to have actual ironclad support for Israel. So what would that look like? Well, right now we're getting word that they're shooting down the Netzarim corridor. If you have trouble finding the Netzarim corridor, you guys see the Shifa hospital. You kind of like really don't know where it's at. Just kind of like picture like where the humanitarian aid pier was established for a tune of like 230 million U.S. taxpayer dollars, costing a U.S. service member his life in the process, and several others that were seriously injured, and just draw a freaking straight line all the way up over to the freaking border with Israel. So from there, it looks like IDF soldiers have re-entered. Now, they took that road and they paved the crap out of it last year and turned it into something of a work of art. John Wilson coming in, he says, South Dakota governor proposed to Trump on Tuesday that he wanted to give up some land in the Black Hills to make the National Garden of American Heroes. That would be great. It would include statues of roughly 250 American heroes. I would really hope it happens. I would love to visit there someday if and when it does happen. The only, John Wilson, that's actually amazing. I love that. Only issue that I have with like the Black Hills, I have to double check on this. I feel like there is a freaking Native American tribe that believes that they originate from it. And if you go and you look at the history of like Mount Rushmore and why Mount Rushmore was actually put in place, it's actually like really dark when you go and look at that. First, it has something to do with like the preservation of the Union, all of the people that are up on there. And I want to say the old leader of the KKK at one point was like one of the first people pushing to have it done, which is kind of weird because you see like Abraham Lincoln up on there, but it's totally different. Like when you go and you look at it, you start wondering why it happened. So if that's the case, if I'm a little off on this, dude, you'll have to excuse me. But if that's the case, if that's where they're gonna put it, that's the one part where I'd be like, come on, man. Like, can we pick a different place? Like, there's lots of places. It's a huge country. It's beautiful. Like, let's leave the Native Americans alone. That's my only thought that goes into that. But I love the freaking idea of having that done. And absolutely, in my opinion, needs to get done. And thank you, sir, for that rather large donation. That is absolutely freaking nutso, brother. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you guys are new to this channel and you haven't subscribed yet, you probably should, because we have some really, really generous people that come in here and they end up dropping 20, 30, 50, 100, 200. Sometimes they get in like a freaking bidding war when it comes down to Speak the Truth memberships. This channel is a live streaming channel. We do post videos, but it is primarily a live streaming channel because that's how quickly everything's developing. So make sure you're subscribed, number one, and make sure your notification bells are turned on. Getting back over into here. So we have that taking place up over in the northeastern corner of Gaza, right? And with that, and those different rockets and all that other crap being fired, IDF troops moving in there. This is allegedly a video coming out of that general area. And as you can see, they're on foot and they're walking in, right? They're going in, they're going to do a methodical sweep and clear of all of these different areas because their goals, and Netanyahu said it just the other day, we are not leaving until we're done. That means that they're going to be staying in there until every single hostage is recovered, until every single body is returned that they can find, and in order to provide peace and security within Gaza. Now, I heard also that there is movement of the IDF, and this is kind of like on the down low, hasn't been confirmed, hasn't been put out, of them actually putting in semi-permanent facilities inside of Gaza as well. So now that we know they're in there, I really don't care sharing this information. Netanyahu put it out last year, and now we know. All right, there is movement of different contractors. Sky God coming in. I told you, look at that. There is just giftful people. If you guys aren't subscribed to this channel, it's a beautiful community. You need to. All right, be a part of this community. If you just got gifted a membership today, or if you get gifted one here in a little bit, make sure you go over to the freaking link that is on the homepage for postings and go and get your butt in the Discord. Amazing community. That's also where we're going to take questions and things of that nature, right? So you look at this and you look at where it's at, and you see what's going on here on this channel. See John Wilson coming in, throwing out 20 more. I told you, people are crazy. Evil Rick coming in 666. Also, some... Oh, man, here it is. Where to go? Also, some references to September 11th and vet stories. That would be great, man. Maui says, I'm late, but I'm here. Dude, appreciate you guys coming in, right? So those semi-permanent facilities are including things like, I'm not going to tell you the type of things that they're putting in, but I'm telling you right now, they're putting in semi-permanent facilities inside of Gaza. That means that the IDF is going to have an enduring presence for the foreseeable future until the government and everything else is taken care of inside of Gaza. That's what that's going to look like. That's what that's going to happen. And they're not playing games either. You guys like Apaches? I like Apaches. This is taking place in the same area I was just talking about. Wait for it. There it is. Yeah, buddy. Tom Bones coming in gifting us Speak the Truth membership. Now, for those of you guys that don't know why I chose to put that video up and it just has that little sound, it's because it's like music to my ears, right? Like I love Apaches, and we're going to go back, we're going to play it again. You're going to be like, oh, that's what that is. Evil Rick says, missed the first one, Pentagon Files, about the stuff in the Holocaust being deleted. Dude, check that Yeti the second. Came in gifting out a Speak the Truth membership. Greatly appreciate you, brother. I don't know if I've ever read your name off before, but thank you for that donation. That, ladies and gentlemen, sound that you just heard coming out of that Apache is a 30 millimeter cannon. That thing is freaking brutal, and I love it to death. Apaches are actually designed to be tank hunters, and they were being used up on the Lebanese border by the IDF in order to like chase down drones that Hezbollah was like sending into Israel, because drones have a really, really low like cross section as far as the radar is concerned, so they're hard to pick up on, like the smaller they get. And if you turn the radar that sensitive, what ends up happening is you get a bunch of interference from a bunch of other things. But the Apaches have really cool freaking technology in order to make it happen. Now that you know it's a 30 millimeter cannon that you hear going off, I want you guys to think about the people that just got yeeted up to go see Allah. I love that noise. Like that sound has saved my butt so many times. And so like when I was watching that video, I'm like, why the hell did somebody post that? Like, it's just a helicopter. Who cares, right? And then I heard that and I was super excited. Sky God says, Mr. Wilson, I haven't slept in 2 days. Do not get into a blessing battle with me right now. I told you, man, they're crazy. You guys get nuts over there. I love it. I absolutely love it. IDF had issued a warning to Palestinians as troops advance in the Netzarim corridor. All right, what they ended up saying, they said, for your safety, and I'm quoting here, they said, for your safety, do not travel to the Sal Adin road between the north of the Gaza Strip and the south, and vice versa. Now, why did they say that? Because last year, all right, the Sal Adin road, when you guys look at it, to the north of the Saladin Road. When we say that, because that sucker had been used as one of those evacuation corridors where they were allowing people to go and do all of those things. And they're going to put that out to them to make sure that they're not going in there. As a matter of fact, here you go. Here's your Saladin Road. It's this north-south running road that you have like going down over here, right? They told them that because this used to be one of those evacuation corridors, essentially telling them to stay the hell away from it. When I said cordon and search, I meant cordon and search, right? Last year, when all of this was happening, they were originally using that road, and then it turned into, like, when they first went into Gaza City, which is currently up on the map, ended up thrusting them over the border, ended up changing the route, and said, you know what, y'all can go up over here to the coastline, and you can work your way down from there. But the IDF isn't playing games with them and telling them to stay the heck away from there. So let me read that off from you. For your safety, do not travel on the Saladin Road between the north of the Gaza Strip and the south, and vice versa. Don't be going back and forth. They're telling people that they're not allowed to do it. They're telling people to stay the hell away, which is, again, goes back to talking about the cordon and search, because before they used to let these people go. Well, they have been warned a million times over. These are the same people that were celebrating the sick, disgusting display of the hostages being returned to Israel, or the bodies being returned to Israel, the alleged body of the Beavis kid's mom being returned to Israel, and all of that crap. And they're sitting there cheering them on and laughing about it. And still, as they were doing that, talking about how they're going to have great victory and death to the Jews and all this other BS. Well, guess what? Your day of reckoning is upon you. The IDF is also expanding into the buffer zone along the Gaza border, including near Khan Yunis, ladies and gentlemen. Now, that is also really, really good news. So let me pull that map back up. So they're going out into the buffer zone around Khan Yunis. There's Khan Yunis. And if you remember what I showed you, they have all this listed as like red space, like stay the hell away from it. Now, what they're doing, clearing it out, like I said, it's going to be a cordon and search. So they're south going towards Khan Yunis. If they're pushing in, I would think that they're going to start pushing those suckers out of right down here and working their way in. And it certainly looked like that from the map. There's no real border crossings, but the IDF did down here at the Kareem Shalom border crossing come in here, and they built like this whole area. If I was to switch this over last year, they turned all of this crap. They ended up like plowing it all out. There was an airfield down here and all sorts of other stuff, but they turned that into kind of like a logistical point. And that's where they were sharing like a lot of the food and supplies and all that crap. They were bringing a lot of it in through the Kareem Shalom crossing last year. Kenneth, cool thing about them, U.S. supplied ones can link to Reaper drones to expand operations out of the Hydra's targeting system and thermals. This is public. I didn't know that. That's pretty rad, actually. Texas Actual coming to 20 says, this morning, Russia getting its booty kicked, Gaza getting its booty kicked, and Yemen getting its booty kicked. Dude, you are absolutely correct with all of those statements. And right now, we're about to go start talking about Russia. But before we get into Russia, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to just listen for a sec. For the average American, our biggest monthly expenditure is our mortgage or our rent. And with over 34% of Americans who rent these days, you got to ask yourself, what do I get out of it? I'm putting money into somebody else's pocket every single time I pay rent. It sucks. It's not fun. But what if there's a way you could actually get something out of it? Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to this wonderful, wonderful company called Bilt. Do you know with Bilt, you could be earning points towards flights, vacations, fitness, hotel rooms, class. Dude, it's just all sorts of stuff. And you don't even have to check with your landlord to get started. There's no cost to join Bilt, and as a member, you'll earn valuable points on rent and on your everyday spending. Bilt points can be transferred to your favorite hotels and airlines, and even the ones you haven't heard of. There's over 500 airlines and 700,000 hotels and properties around the world you can redeem your Bilt points toward. Points can also be redeemed towards a future rent payment and unique experience that only Bilt members can access. So if you're not earning points on rent, my question is, why not? Start earning points on rent you're already paying by going to joinbilt.com/Rob. That's joinbilt.com/Rob. Make sure to use our URL so they know we sent you. Joinbilt.com/Rob to start earning points on your rent payments today. I love that, by the way. Really, like, that's amazing. Like, for the amount of years I was paying rent and not getting anything for it, this isn't part of it. I just happen to love the concept of it. It's a really good freaking idea, and it's going to help a lot of people out. So I love the fact that they were able to figure that out and do it. Now let's start talking about Iran for a quick minute before we jump into Russia, because honestly, Iran and Russia kind of go hand in hand in Matt's opinion, because Iran has been giving a lot of material support to Russia. I think it's complete and total BS that they've been doing it for so long and nothing's really happened. Like, we've just allowed it to freaking happen. Absolute freaking garbage. So, oh my God, I love it. Hey, you guys want to hear something cool for a DM that I just got? You know, the blonde Australian reporter, her name is Erin Milan. She just DM'd me and said she would love to have me on her show. Dude, I so look forward to that. She is the one that's been crushing the freaking Palestinian narrative for so long. And she just DM'd me and said, I'd love to have you on the show about 40 minutes ago. So, Erin, ma'am, formally, I am so excited to be coming on your show. This is going to add to my freaking already stack of freaking places that I go to talk about these types of things. So I really look forward to that. If you guys don't know who I'm talking about, hold on. I'm excited to hear this. Look, this lady. You guys know who this lady is? You guys remember this lady?
Welcome to Bat Beat Crazy. Now this is the Canadian edition. A couple of mentions of our maple-leafed friends, but it's really just the normal global version that you love. I'm just touring Canada at the moment. I've spoken in Toronto and Montreal, and tonight in Vancouver. Then I get to go back home to my little girl. I'm so excited. But first, of course, I must give you this Bat Beep Crazy. And I wanted to start this week's edition.
Anyway, she's great. Like, she freaking throttles everybody. Like, she's freaking amazing. Like, gained a lot of notoriety lately, and I absolutely love her. Like, she's like one of those people that you hear and you're like, breath of fresh air. Thank God. So if you don't know who she is, go find her, follow her. She's a freaking amazing human being. All right. So yeah, getting back on it. France is now urging all of its citizens immediately to leave Iran. Now, last night we were talking about Iran, and as we know, the rumor mill was that Trump had been warning Iran not to be supplying the Houthis anymore, and the Houthis just fired a ballistic missile last night. Yesterday, we had intel over inside of Iran that they were moving a lot of their air defense assets in and around the country. A lot of weird things started happening following that ballistic missile strike as well. If you didn't see last night's live stream, go over and watch it and watch the flight radar section. I talk a lot about what was going on. So go back to last night if you want to get caught up to par on Iran and all of the freaking warnings that have been passed out to them. But additionally, Iran has been supplying a lot of freaking weapons and equipment to Russia for the war, and vice versa. Hey, pants check. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. I got jeans on. Russia has also, been asking, allegedly, the United States, Putin asked the United States to stop bombing the freaking Houthis. Now, why would Putin ask Trump not to bomb the Houthis? I mean, just think outside the box. You guys know me. I try to build critical thinkers. I want you guys to know what the heck's going on in the world. I want you to be able to analyze and think freaking twice. That's why when, yes, I have socks on too. Arthur, I'm not, and I'm also wearing underwear. I'm also wearing a t-shirt underneath this hoodie. I also have deodorant on, and I shaved this morning. So give me a flipping break. But as far as Iran is concerned, they're freaking shaking in their pants. And straight up, they're shaking in their pants. They were moving aerial defense assets around last night. It certainly looked like they had on radar scrambling systems, and there was people over inside of Iran worried about F-35s and several other things. Texas Actual now getting in the freaking Speak the Truth membership, gifting freaking war. Why, man? You guys coming in gifting out 50 Speak the Truth memberships. So now we're most definitely going to be taking questions today from the Discord. So if you guys want to get in the Discord and wait, I will be taking questions from the Discord here in a little bit. All right. But yeah, all of that was happening. And now what comes out today, according to Axios, is that Donald Trump sent a letter to the Iranian Supreme Leader, Khamenei, letting him know, he has a 2-month deadline on the nuclear deal. So now we're warning Iran about the nuclear deal and giving them a 2-month deadline to get their freaking crap in order. We also told them to pull their stupid little spy ship out of the Red Sea, allegedly. And then it was alleged that we actually sank that sucker as well. Kenneth coming in, gifting out 5 Speak the Truth memberships. Man, it's going to be a crazy day, ladies and gentlemen. I really look forward to this chat. So Iran, it is, in my personal opinion and assessment, is not going to back down on supplying the Houthis, but even more so, we're going to probably end up striking those bastards because of all the material support that they've been giving Russia. And I told you guys after that White House meeting with Zelensky, where everybody was freaking the F out, I told you guys, calm down and wait and see what happens. I bet you they end up getting freaking support. And as it turns out, all of that support got turned back on. F-16s arrived the other day over inside of Ukraine. And Zelensky won't even say where they came from. Wait, ladies and gentlemen, wait. I want you to be critical thinkers. So if we go in, which likely we will, and we bomb the crap out of Iran, it's not just a message to Iran for messing around with the Houthis and going after Israel. It's also a message to Iran to stop supplying Russia. I can't say that loud enough. We don't want to deal with Russia. So they're going to go in and they're going to start taking out their support network. And guess what? It's a double-edged sword. We kill two birds with one stone. We start affecting Russia. But guess what else we start learning? The more we start bombing the crap out of Iran. And I want you to think about this. Russia was dumb enough to supply Iran with S-300s, and it was rumored that they got S-400s. And last night I saw that there were some S-400s allegedly that were moving around Iran. So if that is the case, guess what else we're going to learn? We're going to get a lot of technical data going over there doing that. Think about it, ladies and gentlemen. Think. If the United States government is going to be sending in F-35s, if Israel is going to be sending in F-35s, and we're going to have other fighter jets that are going to be operating and bombing the crap out of the Iranians, we're going to be gaining a lot of intelligence by the S-3 and S-400s. The United States itself hasn't came up against those, at least that I'm aware of, and we're going to go in and actually be able to figure out what it is they work and how they go. That's really freaking amazing. So not only are we going to bomb the crap out of them, we're getting intel for future operations. Sky God says, please chat whatever you do. Do not pants check Matt while he's on a bat beeps crazy. Yeah, while I'm on my rant. Yeah. Dude. Yeah. So that's what I'm looking forward to, right? Because we're going to get that intel. Now, if that intel ends up coming back and it turns out that those things are the paper tigers that everybody says they are, ladies and gentlemen, Russia's going to start shaking in their booties even more. Because that means that we'll be able to start flying sorties if we want. And that's going to be a massive threat that's going to be thrown out to Russia. So get your butts off the mainstream media and start paying attention to other things, because all of these different analysis and stuff that we're talking about is stuff that those stupid news reporters and the freaking correspondents that they bring in have no idea what they're talking about. Don't listen to guys like Doug McGregor. He's got no idea what the hell he's talking about. He's got more freaking like, how do I want to say this? He's got more misses than he does hits. And if he does hit, it's because he's thrown so much crap out there. Eventually something's going to stick and come back, right? That's just my take on the guy. Not a big fan of him. I don't know who he thinks is providing him intelligence, but when he's talking about U.S. special operators that were inside of Gaza and everybody gets killed inside of a tunnel and all this other garbage, dude, get the F out of here. You can't keep your mouth shut like I can and everybody else does. And so nobody's going to tell you anything. I certainly wouldn't if I was still in the community. I'm retired, but I definitely wouldn't be like, hey, Doug McGregor, guess what? We're freaking sending dudes in and they're all getting buried in the tunnels, blah, 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 blah. Dude, get the hell out of here, bro. Now let's go over to Russia and see what happened inside of Russia this morning. Guess what this is? Sounds like a drone, looks like a drone, might be a drone. Sounds like a drone, looks like a drone, might be a drone. Now, I wonder what that particular drone was after. I wonder if maybe there was some intended target in that area that might have had some sort of a stockpile of munitions, and that maybe, just maybe, the U.S. government gave intelligence to Ukraine that allowed them to target this particular site, because those munitions weren't there for very long. And they were talking about, they're going after bombers, they're going after aircraft, they're going after everything else. I want you to look at this video and I want you to tell me whether or not you think this is aircraft being struck, or you think this is actually taking out some very, 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 very key weapon systems that Russia had and was planning on using on something else. Check this out. Have you guys seen this yet?
Это нихуя. Там что-то ёбнуло пиздец.
Oh, блядь. Russia, Russians, all you Russian trolls, I want you to take a look at this freaking screenshot right here. I want you to take a look at it. This is your future if you don't stop messing around. This right here is your future, and it's not going to slow down. It's not. Period. This is going to continue. Kazi coming in, becoming a true supporter. Love to have you. Yeah, does that look like an airfield being struck, or does that maybe look like what the actual intended target was a freaking massive amount of munitions, some very large munitions, because Russia and their dumb butts decided it would be a good idea after they talked to Trump the other day to go and launch a massive drone attack across Israel. And I heard also that Russia fired ballistic missiles, or I'm sorry, not attack Israel, attack Ukraine, but Russia also, I heard, fired some ballistic missiles over at Ukraine as well yesterday. So if they're doing that crap, the U.S. isn't going to stand for it. Yeah, we turned off our intel and then we turned it right back on for a very good reason. Take a look. Now, I told y'all, there's still a lot of Trump derangement syndrome that's going on in the media right now. A buttload of it, to the point where even after the JFK files were released and there is like undeniable freaking connections between the KGB, freaking Castro over in Cuba, freaking Lee Harvey Oswald going over to Russia. I talked about all of this crap the other day. Go watch that video. People are still blaming it on Mossad, and they're still blaming it on the CIA. It's some of the dumbest crap that I've ever seen. Trump's not an idiot. He released those files for a reason. I have the entire file now, everything from the JFK file downloaded into text. And if you're a true supporter, I'm going to drop the file over in the Discord so that you guys have the ability to take that text and do with it what you will. All of the text as best as you can get it ripped from AI. Now, all of those scans, they're a little bit crappy, but that means that some of the information is like hit or miss. So it's like fragmented as you go, but it allows you to search, and then you can actually start putting things together. That's what I did. And guess what? It gave me some really good connections. But let's finish watching this. By the way, I got more.
Там пизда, Наташ. Лёдку разъебали. Блядь, выйди, посмотри, блядь. Лёд просто еще. И пизда, 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 пизда. Ебать. Пиздец, нахуй.
I just love hearing him cuss and whine. Like it just warms my soul for some reason. If you guys want to see like the troll of all trolls, and I love trolling people, absolutely love trolling people. This ended up like some idiot, because I said Russia's getting throttled or something like that in one of my comments earlier today over on Twitter. Some idiot decided to be like, "Oh, dude, you have such a hard on for Russia, blah 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 blah." So I decided to come back and freaking this is part of my job that I absolutely love, is trolling morons. This guy says, "You've got a hard on for Russia so bad. I'm surprised you didn't say that Iran did it." And he's talking about, I don't even remember what the hell he's talking about. I said, close. I'm flaccid when it comes to Russia, but I have a raging hard on when it comes for dead Russian soldiers, though. And then I went down and I was like, boom, instant boner. And I started showing you guys all these videos and stuff like that we have coming up in the stack. So let's take a look at some of those. And let me just get my freaking massive hard on going. So here's the first one. Let's get this one up and running. And then every single post I dropped underneath it was some sort of sexual context for how I was getting turned on for freaking Russians getting schwacked. There's another good shot coming out over there. Look at that. Just aircraft. The drone just hit an aircraft, right? Russia's probably going to come back and say that like nothing happened. It was a completely and totally unsuccessful attack by Ukraine, and they're going to take care of it. And then Putin's going to try to ramp up his stupidity and do something even dumber and end up getting more freaking people killed. That's the aftermath. That's the aftermath. Now, you guys saw how big that explosion was, right? I saw how big it was. I know you saw how big it was. I've actually got a video of the freaking Bilt itself that was like right next to it, and you can see what the blast wave from that sucker did. It's freaking insane. Like, that was a huge freaking strike. They took out something really cool over inside of there, and I'm 99% positive it's because of intelligence sharing and everything else. Let me see. It might... No, that's the drone flying over. Oh, man, did I not put it in the stack? It's okay, because I know where to access it. Oh, this is people complaining after the strike. This is still kind of funny. Then I'm going to show you the bill afterwards. Look at that. That's daylight. That is one hell of a strike. That's one hell of a strike. So hold on. Let me get over here and let me grab this, because I'm pretty sure I dropped it in the chat where I was talking trash to that guy, which makes me like, I get to like giggle in my soul as I go and I bring that back up again, because it's just funny. It's just really, really funny to me. So let me see here. I should have it down in here. So that's some of that stuff. That's it's exploding. Oh, I also put a video of dead Russian soldiers in there. Here we go. This is another one that I absolutely like. There's a video on the ground afterwards of people walking right past this building. You get to see all the shrapnel and everything on the ground. Wait for it. So you can see how far away this thing is. Like, this is hundreds of meters away, like pretty far. I feel like you guys want to see that again. Do you guys want to see that again? I kind of want to see that again, right? And this is like flash to bang type deal, like it's a huge distance away. Like you've got the speed of light, which allows you to see it, and then the speed of sound. And then you have what that is for those that are unaware. Now, I've explained this before. When big explosions like that end up going off, it actually creates a vacuum. And when that explosion goes off, it compresses the air and it pushes it out and it creates overpressure, right? So air can compress. Air gets superheated when it compresses as well. But air compresses, and as it's compressed and it's getting blasted out, it ends up causing that shock wave that goes out. That's what that is. That's what that is. That's what's causing that, right? That's what's causing all that destruction. So knowing that, I want you to think about how freaking huge of an explosion this was in order to make that happen. Let's watch that one more time. Is it done yet? It's not done yet. Nope, more. Like, yeah, and I saw somebody put it in the comment section that overpressure is also how TBIs happen. 100% that's true. Overpressure is 100% what causes TBIs to happen as well. It is a very serious thing. It sucks if you've ever been like a victim of overpressure. It's not very cool. But this is a walkthrough of that bill now. They're just dropping F-bombs because they got nothing else that they can say about it. When I told you that that was a large strike, that was a very large strike. It's kind of, you don't really get it when you see those blasts go off in the distance. And you just see that stuff like, you know, big fireball, crap in the sky, whatever. But when you actually see afterwards, and you can kind of see like that smoke cloud, right, off in the distance, or that like smoking and all the other crap off in the distance. But look at that. That's all from overpressure. How nuts is that? Ukraine didn't bomb that village. That's overpressure from it. That's 100% what that is. I'm going to go over to the Discord, and I'm going to start getting that sucker opened up. And while I'm getting the Discord opened up so that I can start taking questions from you guys and we can start talking about this, I want you guys to listen to a quick word from our sponsor. I messed it up earlier. That's my bad. I'm going to play it again. I want you guys to get a quick word from them. I love these guys to death. Also amazing human beings. Your company's growing. Congratulations. And scaling up your business requires expertise, but it also requires time. And let's be honest, time is money. And posting ads on the internet, the old school fashioned way, kind of sucks, right? Well, ladies and gentlemen, check this out. Allow me to introduce you to Upwork. They have over 2 decades worth of experience with simple and ambitious goals to pioneer a better way of working. Companies at every stage turn to Upwork to get things done and to find more flexibility in the way they staff key projects and initiatives by accessing a global marketplace filled with the top talent in IT, web development, AI, design, admin support, marketing, and much more. Posting a job on Upwork is easy with no cost to join. You can register, browse freelancer profiles, get help drafting a job, and even book a consultation all in one place. Visit Upwork.com now and post your job for free. That's Upwork.com to post your job for free and connect with top talent ready to help your business grow. That's UPWORK.com. Upwork.com. All right, now that we're up and we're over in the Discord, let's get this sucker going. Texas, how you doing this morning, brother?
Oh, what a wonderful morning, day, should I say, for myself.
That was a good freaking blast.
So a couple of things that you mentioned, and so it wasn't just a strike on a base. Some statements already, official statements are out. Apparently, Ukraine got intel that a cargo plane was landing
right
at the it was going to land. It was heading that direction. And I guess they started arranging, because this takes hours to set up to launch these long-range drones and stuff, to plan and pre-program the flight paths and all that. So apparently this cargo plane came to restock KH-101 and KH-55 cruise missiles for the long-range bombers. So apparently that's what was hit. It was a fresh stockpile that was only there for a few hours because they don't keep much stock there. They bring the stock from further away because they just keep the planes there. They load the planes and they obviously head out from there towards their launch points. But apparently the statement is that a fresh batch of KH-101 and KH-55 cruise missiles were unloaded off that cargo plane and then got smacked straight in the teeth. That video that you watched of that village, we can look at it two ways. We can look at it like, yeah, look at the fucking shit construction of a Russian village.
Language, Texas, language.
My bad. We're still in the green. I'm sorry. Or we can look at the bad construction. We can look at the bad construction from the houses in Russia in the village, or you can look at it from a different angle and just like how big the blast was. That village apparently is 5 to 7 kilometers away from the base.
It was that far away?
Far away.
So, based on Texas's math of 5 to 7 kilometers, I went into the UNSafeguard.org blast damage estimation calculator.
And?
I shared the link on Discord. At 5 kilometers to bust out a medium window would take more than 45,000 pounds of TNT detonating.
So it's a huge strike.
So, I mean, other explosives may be different amounts, but that's a huge.
It's
huge
a big
hit.
boom. Yeah,
That's
a big boom. And it was a big boom. You can see the mushroom cloud. And like most of the videos that you see is daylight. When the actual strike happened, it was barely sun up still. So it was still dark out.
Yeah.
Kinda. So like that mushroom cloud that you see with the sun up already is like probably
That's
within
huge.
an hour of the actual hit. Yeah.
And you know what's crazy about that too, if you really think about it, and that is like one drone going over and striking that sucker, that took out that airfield. Like it's done.
I mean, Ingalls is a very, very, very large. It's not only an airfield; it's like a big base. But
yeah, but I want you to think about all the infrastructure. If you think about the infrastructure
shrapnel.
that's going to be over there, like ATC and all that other crap, I'm not saying that there's not a usable runway and that it won't be up and operational soon, but dude.
Yeah, you're gonna have all there's multiple reports. Again, there's no BDA yet because it's very difficult to get a BDA based off the videos that the Russians put out because they're always far away. But once satellite footage will come up and once these things will get released, usually it takes 24 to 48 hours for that to come out. We'll be able to see, but reports are that some long-range bombers were damaged based off the calculation of the shrapnel, how far the shrapnel flew. But yeah, it was a big one. I see it that something is cooking. But like I said, it was a big one.
That's huge. You said 4,500 pounds of TNT? Or no,
that's what he said based off his calculation.
Based off his calculations.
45,000 for it to be 5 kilometers away, and that's just to bust out medium and large windows.
Yeah,
not
so it's
even
way bigger
ripping.
than that. Like you look at the amount of damage that took place in that village. I mean, that's a lot of damage, man. That's a lot of damage. Like, look at that sucker go. That's
50,000 pounds wouldn't even be fatal at that distance, and that blast wave looks like if you were out in it, it would be fatal.
That blast wave would have jacked you up. Like if you were standing in that blast wave within itself would have jacked you up. And if anything, like just the debris. So I want you to think about the amount of stuff that's running down. So it's got the ability. Now that's all loose crap, sheet metal and stuff like that in that little crappy old village, right? But just the debris flying through the air at that point, everything falling down, like you're still getting fallout that far away. Like that's nuts. And that's not even fallout. It's just shit and rocks and everything else being thrown from the freaking shockwave.
So it takes,
and you can hear it in the video,
RDX for the blast wave to reach past 7 kilometers.
Say what now?
Yeah, but
60,000 pounds of RDX is the first one I've gotten that had a blast wave reach past 7 kilometers.
So take that number. Hold on. Take that number. Hold on. I mean, you said 60,000 pounds of RDX. So give me a sec because I'm gonna do some quick math for you. Okay.
Does anybody know roughly how much explosives or what kind of explosive is in a KH-101 or
So
a
you're talking
KH-55 cruise missile?
roughly. So with that information that he just said, you're talking over 100,000 pounds equivalent of TNT. Well, so like when you use a mixed rate, generally you do like a 1.2, you know, for like an RE factor somewhere in that general vicinity when you have like mixed munitions and things like that. But a lot of it ends up using something to the equivalent of like Comp B, something like that. So I mean, you could, right? Like it's stronger than TNT, but still like a little bit less, because you don't want to put like a really high grade explosive filler inside of those things because of like what it tends to hit. You want it to be a little bit slower. The faster it goes, the more of like a cutting, shearing effect that you get off of it. And the slower it goes, the more you get like a more pushing effect, like we're seeing with a shockwave throwing stuff off those buildings, even though it's over there. So this is well over 100,000 pounds worth of TNT.
And that's still leaving house requires repairs and serious inconvenience, but remains habitable at 2 kilometers with that 100,000 pounds.
Right.
So, I mean,
this is way beyond
that's
that.
Also,
this was a massive strike.
Like Texas was saying, though, the buildings may not be to what our code is being, or EU code is being measured by.
Clearly not to that code.
Still over 100,000 pounds worth of TNT force in that explosion based on.
At a minimum. Because you just said for the shockwave to reach, it was 60,000 pounds of RDX. So at a minimum is over 100,000 pounds worth of TNT.
I got this. Here's this map for you. There's a little bit more information that came out, and here's a little bit of a breakdown. I just sent it to you on X of where that house is and roughly the opposite side of the field where the impact was. You can see the airfield, and then you can see the angle of the blast wave and where that house was in the village outside of that field. And people think, oh, it's 2 roads down from the airfield, but it's when you see it from a satellite, yeah, it's far.
It's on that blast and the damage, Matt. Did
you see what I just sent you, Matt?
I'm about to open it up. I was playing a video for the people at home just so they can see what's going on. Now I'm going to go in there and take a look at it.
The damage you were just showing, I've only seen one other video leave that kind of explosion, and it's when the U.S. dropped a fucking Moab on the Tally.
Oh, dude.
And
for the explosion, sure, but that was out in the middle of nowhere.
That's the only other time I've seen a bomb leave that kind of mini.
But this is not a bomb. This is the actual. Whatever it hit was the one that cooked off. It's not that the drone had 100,000 pounds of TNT on it.
Well, that's where I was thinking
drone.
it was
what it was hitting. Yeah, it hit. They said that they hit a fresh batch of KH-101 and KH-55 cruise missiles, which is
the
pretty large cruise missiles.
Give it the fuel air explosion.
But you have the fuel and the explosives in the missiles. You have both. You have the rocket fuel and.
Right. So massive blast, right? Massive blast, right? Like you can see where it's at. But the important part to me about this, like, sure, that was a huge hit, but I want you to think about like the coordinated intelligence efforts that it took to make that happen, and like the amount of people that were involved to make this strike happen. And those suckers would have only been on that ground for a limited period of time. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep. They said that the flight landed less than 2 hours before the impact of the first drone or the drone.
Correct.
So that means that they had to get the information that the flight's going to. Yep. They had to know. A different part of Russia. So they move him from deeper into Russia,
not Iran or something.
Right. Yeah. Hey, so it is Russian. It was a Russian IL-76 style cargo.
Real quick. I got an update on the active shooter situation coming out of Michigan. What I'm being told is that the suspect is in custody, and it was a radiologist who shot his manager over an affair, is what it appears to be.
Yeah, there were 2 people arguing in the car park, and then he pulls the gun out, and there were 5 to 6 shots fired, according to the police report so far.
Yeah, so.
But they're claiming it was a mass shooting.
It's what I'm hearing is one person. So radiologist shot his manager. What they said was active shooter, not mass shooting. Radiologist shot his manager over an affair. And that would make sense that it happened in like the parking garage parking lot, because that was something else that I got told. And I was like, it's not really making any sense right now. And that the person's inside of the hospital. But so that scene is secure officially. Suspects in custody. And it appears that they have the motive and everything else. So as far as following on attacks for that goes, not such a big deal, right? Okay, let's get back. let's get back to this because
did we find anything out about the CIA one yesterday?
I'm sorry. No, I didn't get
CIA shutdown.
No, I didn't get any new word on that. I'll reach out to some friends and see if I can figure out what happened, and I'll put it out in the Discord.
This is crazy. So they just released a footage or like a screen grab of the Ingalls base where the strike took place, and this is obviously before it got hit. But what they're showing is like how stupid can you be of building your ammunition storage right next to your fuel storage tanks.
Well, they're gonna
so like they're literally right next to each other.
That's stupid, but they're also like, I mean, yeah.
Look at what I sent you. I sent you a couple of things right now, and you can see them. That's apparently what was hit, and then the one before that, you can see roughly where that house that you saw the video of is located, and you can get the distance on that. I sent you two different.
Yeah, I pulled up the other one here just a little bit ago, but yeah, I mean that's kind of stupid. But you know, if those like ammo storage facilities were built correctly, like there is theoretically a way that you could do that safe, but it's, you know, at the Russia, you know, like they're not going to do it properly, right? So, yeah, that's stupid. That's stupid. That's a lot of fuel too.
European leaders just announced as an emergency to all European diplomats to leave Iran.
Correct. Yep, put that out earlier. So I mean,
that's wild.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So Iran was scrambling last night. Like after that strike, they were absolutely scrambling, and they were worried that they were going to get freaking smoked. And if that's what's being put out, that's a very good sign. It's a very good sign. You know what I mean? That means we're going to bomb the crap out of them.
Is it that they have information that something is going on, or it's just trying to cover themselves so they're not getting caught in the middle?
Well, it's pretty
that's
obvious.
The question.
It's pretty obvious what's going on. Like you could, I mean, dude, I told you about it, right?
Yeah.
Like, just wait and see, man. Wait and see, because you're getting a double-edged sword with this. You're getting more than just like your bang for your buck when it comes to attacking Iran for Israel. You're also getting this other backside when it comes to Russia. And this right here, like this whole incident that we're talking about on this like massive strike that took place, over 100,000 tons worth of TNT, right? At a minimum, as far as this explosion is concerned, it's a big one. That's a big strike. That is a message to Putin, who quite literally embarrassed freaking Donald Trump the other day.
I mean, let's not forget Ukraine did get hammered last night pretty bad. There's a village in Ukraine in Donbass that they hit 33 bombs were dropped in an active, like it's not even on the front. It's like a regular Kropyvnytsky. I butchered that word also. It's like a village that is in the Donetsk area. It just got hammered. Like they were just dropping glide bombs and drones. Like over 30 impacted the city. It's a pretty big. It's not it's not Kiev, but it's a pretty big city, and they were getting hammered. So I guess that was a good response to it, and it's not like for nothing. But yeah, it was basically. And then also another thing, I don't know if you noticed it, Matt. Yesterday, Caroline Levitt, whatever her name is, from the White House press secretary, she said that for the first time I heard her speak on Ukraine side like that, where she was like, President Trump had a great phone call with President Zelensky, and they were talking a lot of different things, mainly about air defense, and specifically and particularly air defense Patriot missiles. And the president assured him that he's going to look into of where we can allocate more from, and particularly from European countries that have stockpiles to send them over. And it was like a very pro-friendly Zelensky statement that she made. And at the same time, that was right after the whole world was like going on social media saying how Putin just embarrassed Trump by like giving Trump an okay for a deal, and then within 45 minutes of that deal, launching actual ballistic missiles and drones. So yeah, I think that Trump is gonna get he's not gonna show it yet, or he's not gonna show it at all, but he's getting kind of frustrated with the Putin.
Again, I told you, number one, that Trump doesn't understand, right? But he will listen to people. And I think he was making a good faith effort to negotiate with them. I'll tell you that he absolutely understands the Middle East and the Middle East conflict, right? Like he understands everything that's going on over in the Middle East, right? And yet he still tried to negotiate with Hamas. But when that failed, look at what's now currently taking place, right? And it's the same thing with Putin, and it's the same thing with Iran. It's just diplomatic efforts before we, unleash unholy hell on them, right? And so you've got to try to be diplomatic when you first come in, especially if he's got a previous relationship and he actually thinks he can accomplish it. Trump doesn't want more people to die. He doesn't. But he absolutely has the balls to pull the trigger. He at least understands that, and he at least understands people like you and me and everybody else. And I know that from a phone call that I took last year. Like he knows. He knows.
And the Russians are raging on their Telegram channel still.
I know.
That the Ukrainian forces are making advancements in the Belgorod region.
Correct.
So they're raging on that. That's just now also today coming out. So I guess they're still pushing in Belgorod.
Matt, on your question, it was about 805 pounds of explosive and 160 pounds of fuel for each of those rockets. Based on what your math for the explosion and TNT would be, it balances to 70 to 78 rockets set off at once.
Yeah, and that's not unheard of. That's
about a plane load, right?
That's a cargo plane, probably full of crates,
right.
Roughly plus minus. And you don't know.
And you also how much does each one weigh?
There with fuel.
I mean, you could look up.
Those cruise missiles are big.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So now look up and
pounds.
say, how much do these things weigh? What type of aircraft would have to carry stuff like that? It's not like aircraft don't exist. But that would be a massive movement. It would be really dumb for them to do that. And so likely what it was you want my opinion on how this went down? Like, seriously? I can tell you. So to move like that many of those large munitions, you have to have a massive aircraft that's capable of doing it, right?
96,000 pounds.
Right. That's pretty freaking heavy, man. Right. So you would have to have a massive aircraft equivalent of doing that. Probably didn't happen. They probably did it over a series of time, and that was the last aircraft that was going in to deliver them. Why do I say that? Because when you have that many that are moving, right, going in and out, that creates a lot of intelligence. That's a lot of people being like, wow, this is a lot of boom boom. And people that are not sympathetic to Putin's cause are going to open their mouth.
All it takes is one idiot taking a picture with his phone and posting it on Instagram or something.
It could be something that stupid as well, right? Or it could be people that we know that are working over at that airfield, and we could figure out their freaking phones, and somebody posts a picture and we go, holy shit, they're putting that in there. Let's take a look at these aircraft. And you start zeroing in on all of that stuff, SIGINT and everything else. And you wait for that last one to come in and get it.
You're right in the math. So I just looked in the aircraft that they claimed that landed was a IL-76 cargo plane, which has a 5,000 kilometer range and a 40-ton to 88,000 pound capacity load.
Boom.
So it could have even just been the first plane.
It could have just been one plane. And then also people also keep forgetting in that part of this blast, the ammo storage, that's what they're showing right now, is right next to the fuel.
Correct.
So they got a lot of jet fuel sitting there too. So part of that cook-off could be fuel that didn't even have to be carried over there. So it could have added to making that a bigger boom. Once the cook-off happened, you have cook-off of all these cruise missiles and you have cook-off of the fuel. Then that combine that all together, it's very, very doable that a blast this big occurred.
The avgas of the airport would help with the mushroom cloud looking effect, but the avgas wouldn't actually contribute to the explosive shockwave. Now, the fuel in the rockets, being a much more energetic compound, would be. That's why I factored that in. But I don't.
Jet A fuel would contribute to the shockwave when it cooks off.
Avgas burns almost worse than diesel though when it's unpressurized. Is why I was saying like.
Yeah,
but when you start
tanks, and
I've blown up a lot of freaking fuel.
I've
blown up a lot of fuel, and I'll tell you, it will contribute to the net explosive weight if it's done correctly. And when you have that much that's on there, like that much that's going into it, because what you don't see, right, in these
thinking the oxidizer from the rockets, maybe.
Right, but it's not just that; it's the amount. So I want you to you got to take off, brother.
No. I said there's two people that have their hands up. I was going to bring up some more people.
Yeah, go ahead. So when you look at this, when you look at this strike, and I don't have a lot of time because I've got some other stuff. I have to go here in just a little bit, probably in about 15 to 20. But when you look at this strike, right, like let's say the fuel was set off otherwise and it wasn't a total detonation, because fuel can detonate, right? Well, deflagrate, right? That can happen, right? But when you look at this cloud on the screen right now, what you do not see is you do not see two separate freaking, explosions going on. Now, the other possibility is that it didn't freaking detonate, and that explosion, because it was so far away, right? And those tanks are going to be protected, that it just threw that fuel and it didn't even contribute to it, and it just blasted it over and threw it somewhere else. That's also a possibility. But what
the fuel is why it kept burning for like a day after.
Correct. But what we don't see here, though, because all of that shit's going to get scattered. Like when you end up doing that, by the way, it's like it doesn't all go off. And so it's going to keep burning and all that other crap, right? And it's all going to be soaked into the ground and all. It's going to burn for a while. And maybe, the front tanks went. It just kind of depends on how that freaking wave and detonation ends up hitting it, how much of it, all that crap. I don't have that information. But what I can tell you when you look at this over here is you do see like a smaller freaking cloud down here off the left, that it looks like maybe that was the fuel going off. You guys kind of see that about halfway up the freaking stem of the mushroom.
A lot of unburned fuel in it.
Yeah.
Here's a pretty clear, fresh video of an angle of the actual cloud.
New angles, my man.
I'm just looking. I don't know if it's a new angle or if it's an angle that already exists, but here's a video that just shows that double cloud. It does show two. It's a single big cloud, but two plumes going to that cloud.
Oh, this one? I showed this earlier, didn't I? I don't know.
Oh, you did? I didn't see it.
So, yeah, you yes and no.
Yeah.
Right?
Cloud
so,
that's
yes
coming
and
up
no,
the
because
secondary
look
side
at
right
the
there.
base.
It looks like the AvGaf.
So look at the base. Number one, this is a silly argument because we're never going to figure it out from this video. But if you look at the base,
yeah, I know.
Yeah,
and
how it kind of goes up, you're going. So what ends up happening is that's all that heat that's coming up. Like God only knows how high into the sky that actually is, right? It's really hard to tell from a video and everything else. But all that heat initially, what you're looking at, like this main stem on it right here, it's all one, right? As it goes up, that's all one. Like this video is from so far away. Like this whole freaking, portion of this sucker is going to take up a massive chunk of that airfield. Like all of that.
Based on the size of the sun in that picture that you have pulled, it's 480 feet to the base of the mushroom cloud part, and the cloud itself has another 90.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
That's almost 500 feet. Yeah, that's huge.
And that's an estimate, right? So
man,
yeah,
I really hope they damaged a couple of the Tu-95 bombers that were there, because Russia doesn't have that many in the fleet. Russia has reported 47 Tu-95 long-range bombers in their fleet, and on RX, I believe there's 4 that have been destroyed or damaged over time. Some on the airfield that prior hits. So make that 43, and out of that 43, they estimate only 60% could be flight ready, like because they have maintenance and stuff that they have to be downtime. So you make that into 20-something long-range bombers of these specific Tu-95s, which they can carry the most KH-101 and KH-55 cruise missiles. Now, if you do the math, even if only 1 or 2 more gets damaged, it hurts Russia's long-range operations insane, because every time when we in Ukraine get a notification so we get alerts, and a lot of times with the alert, it'll be like Tu-95 bombers are heading towards a launch point, so it's probably going to be missiles and ballistics and not just drones. When it's just Shaheeds, we'll get like Shaheeds over X region moving toward X region. So every time when they do this, it's usually 9 to 10 to 13 Tu-95s are taking off towards Ukraine at the same time. So when you have a few of them go down, it hurts there, because again, each one I think has 14 cruise missiles can each one hold. I think it's 7 in the rotary belly, and then 7 on the wing, or 6 on the wing. I'm not sure exactly, but it's a lot. So even if 1 or 2 of them is now not operational, that's a lot less cruise missiles that they can fire on each time they're going to do like an assault like that.
So let's.
So I really hope
valid.
they did.
Let's go to Super Crime because I'm kind of short on time today. I've got stuff that I have to take care of, and you guys aren't going to see me tomorrow. I have business I have to attend to. So let's go to Super Crime. What you got there, brother?
Hey, so I just, I don't know a whole lot of everything. I listen to this every day. But, my biggest thing is with Russia basically going against Trump's deal that they're all going on with Ukraine and whatnot. What is the likelihood of boots going on the ground?
Oh, boots on the ground, U.S. boots on the ground? Really low.
Yeah.
Really low.
U.S. boots coming down.
Really low.
Sorry.
Really low. Yeah, U.S. boots on the ground, I would put it like really low. Same thing for over inside of Gaza. A lot of people are like, hey, are we going to see special operations troops in there? There's no point. There's no reason. Israel has like a very good they have very good HR assets. I could see our intelligence sharing, things like that, possibly some air support asset type deal going on. You know what I mean? Other than that, no. And even if we did do stuff like that, I highly doubt we would tell Russia. Like, let's say there was a very specific cruise missile strike that ended up happening. I highly doubt Russia would be aware of who did it.
Gotcha. Yeah, see, I was just curious for the fact of, I don't know what more we can do because we've been doing sanctions for how long now and nothing works. I mean, Russia's and
violence. Well, here's the thing. We haven't, you got to think about what was taking place, right? It wasn't until like May of last year that we like approved. All right. It started off, I believe it was Germany started off with the approval process, but we didn't even approve any of our assets that we were giving Ukraine to strike Russia on Russian soil. And so like Ukraine's been kind of like had their hands tied for a while because they need the equipment. They need all of this crap, but there was restrictions placed on them for what they could do with it. Right. And like this whole thing about targeting Russia on Russian soil and going after the supply lines and everything else, like what you're starting to see is you're starting to see a lot of things open up and you got to allow that to take place first. Before you even consider stuff like that. The only time I would ever see something like that serious taking place, and even then, I think Putin would know that he's going to get jacked up, is if he decided to launch an attack on U.S. soil, then abso-frickin-lutely, we would take the throttle to him. I don't think he's that dumb because he knows exactly what the result would be. So we're going to be doing this the smart way.
I don't think Russia would ever come here.
If anything, they would do false flag or something. Not false flag. They would do like they would use a third party. They would wheel somebody. Russia's very good. People make this mistake where Russia is like, if you think they're gonna have to send like a Spetsnaz unit to attack a military base, it's never gonna work. But what they could do is find fucking, sorry for my language again, find a few not very smart people and slowly rotate themselves into their life, either known as they're the Russians or even playing that they're somebody else, or do a front of a company, I'm doing business with you, and then moving money into somebody's bucket, and now you owe them of doing stuff like that.
That's how they play games.
By the way, there's a really cool, I know we're on the topic of Russia, but I'm going to jump back to the Hamas real quick. And
I also want to get to C88 too, because he's in here, and like I said, limited time. I want to make sure everybody that's requesting come up gets that opportunity. So then we'll do that. Go ahead, C88.
Go ahead.
I know you're excited like me, Texas. It's okay. I get excited too. C88, go ahead, brother. He's like, been waiting
he
for
doesn't
so
have
long.
audio.
Oh man, come on, buddy.
Does he have audio?
All right, so go ahead. He can come up whenever he gets it up and running.
No, I just sent you not the last thing I sent you, but one before that. I sent you. I guess there's 54 Hamas affiliates or leaders or whatever, and then like they put it all in players cards. And I'm looking at it. I'm like, oh, that's the cards Trump was talking about not having. I guess Ukraine needs to get players cards like these.
They did at one point in time, like up the top.
But look at this. It looks pretty nice. And if you look at the next thing I sent you after that, is pretty much scary how vulnerable Russia is.
You got to let me,
when you look at a map like that.
You got to let me make a comment on this first before we go to the next one, bro. Like, number one, Israel, like 2 weeks ago, I think it was 2 weeks ago, released a video of the PIJ spokesperson in captivity talking about how they were working with mainstream media and everything else. And so if Israel had that guy in captivity, obviously they replaced him. right, with somebody else. And then, wouldn't you know it, as luck would have it, that guy ended up getting schwacked in an airstrike just the other day. And it's like every single person that they replace on this just end up getting taken down. So it's almost pointless. It's like guaranteed you're going to die for the cause if you end up freaking joining in the fight on some of these things, which I freaking love. Good on him for doing it, personally. This is the map of what now?
This is the map of showing you how the second largest or strongest military in the world can defend their own land. That's Ukraine's hits since only 2024 started.
Right.
2025 started.
Right. I mean, that's a hell of a freaking strike.
On Russian soil.
But, right.
So these are all the impact sites.
Right. And the vast majority of these are being caused by drones. Right. And
and they're all like high value targets. They're all refineries, pipeline pump stations, and military storage facilities.
Here's the catch to this, right? Like, just like we saw that other, like that drone that just struck that facility that caused that massive 100,000 plus freaking ton explosion. Here's the thing about these things, like those longer range strikes that are going deeper and deeper into Russia, those are not small drones. Like, Ukraine's using actual aircraft and like rigging them up and sending them in that way to get that long range.
This drone that you see flying and doing the actual impact, it's not as big as you would think. I've seen it in real life.
I'm talking about actual aircraft, though. That one that went 1,700 kilometers into Russia, that was
that's like a Cessna. Yeah, that's
aircraft.
like a small Cessna.
And they weren't able to pick up on it. That's what I'm talking about. Like those things right there, when they talk about having, hey, we've got all these amazing aerial defense systems, and you have a freaking Cessna fly in, dude.
They got S-700s over there.
Dude, give me a break.
Yep.
That's what I'm pointing out.
Is absolutely. I mean, look at what they got in Moscow. Pictures rolling around of Pantsir air defense, like the smaller mobile air defense trucks. It's not even a battery and a separate launcher. It's like just a single truck being hoisted up on government buildings and mounted on the roof of buildings to do air defense.
Bingo.
If you got to do that, then there's something really wrong with your outer layer of air defense.
Bingo. Bingo. I got to go through some of these super chats real quick.
Battle cruiser was put in for maintenance in 1994 after the fall of the Soviet Union, and it's still sitting there. I mean, it has 170 missiles it can launch, but Russia's air defense super cruiser has been in dry dock being repaired for 35 years.
Right.
Have you seen the video of a Russian...
guys, I know you're excited. Let me go through some of these super chats. Noma's saying, referring back to the beginning of the video, in Israel, you're a celebrity. Israeli society respects high military rank a lot. You'd get hired as a CEO. That's wild. Abby H. says, the speech Eli Sharabi just gave to the UN Security Council is about his captivity in Gaza. Definitely needs to be covered tonight. Okay. I saw that he came out and made a speech. I didn't have the time to watch it yet. Travis C. finally caught the tail end of the live again. Been watching or listening since the podcast days with Rob. Keep up the great work. Yeah, I mean, it's all amazing things. And hey, you want to hear something cool? Rob, by the way, because everybody knows Rob if you've been around for a while. Everybody knew he was going to the law enforcement academy. He got a freaking conditional offer the other day. So we owe Rob a congratulations. That's a hard freaking task to accomplish. I can't read Hebrew. It says, Shalom. When are you coming to Israel? You're going to fall in love with our country. I've got travel plans coming up, but I want to arrange them with a couple other things that I'm working on. And because I don't want to waste a trip overseas and come back, because that is a long flight from the United States of America. And so I'm going to be making some other stops along the way. I've got some other things that are scheduled. So if I'm going to be, making my rounds, which Israel is on the freaking check to go make my rounds for the channel, I need to make sure that I've got everything kind of lined up. And so I'm waiting on everything to get lined up. And as soon as those stars align, I'm coming over. I'll be in Israel. I definitely want to go see the West Wall. I've already actually got a buddy of mine who knows a really good tour guide over there that's going to show me some other things. And of course, I'm still now going to be opening my conversations back up. I still have the original intent of going over to Israel for what I wanted to do, which was go into Gaza and actually document the ridiculousness that's taking place and do it alongside the IDF, not like staying behind the lines, but actually just going along with them to document what's actually happening, what combat inside Gaza actually looks like. So, and that's kind of one of my main goals for going over there. And hopefully now that they're like, hey, actual occupation, my other goal, so I got to reach back out to their spokespeople or their media department. My other goal is to be able to go in and document the tunnels in between Gaza and Egypt along the freaking Philadelphia corridor. That needs shown.
Oh, that would be massive if you can get access to that.
I'm working on it
because I don't think anybody has gotten access outside of Israeli media.
And I'm working on it.
Nobody.
And I'm a very trustworthy human being. I'm a very trustworthy individual.
Yeah, that would be
They can
massive.
have control of everything. They can, if they want to save me some money, they can have their own cameraman. They can take my cell phone. I'll have nothing on me. They can strip me naked, bring me in, and they can film for me to make sure that they're in control of everything. I don't give a crap how it's done, but that needs to happen. So. In my opinion, all of that information needs to come out, because what Israel is about to do over inside of Gaza, I don't think the world is really ready and or prepared for, personally. So, is what it is. As far as a stream tonight, it's not going to happen. I'm not going to be available to do a stream tonight. Like I said, I got to get caught up on a lot of other stuff. I have to take tomorrow off and kind of go from there. But I will be back Monday. If something does come out, I'll make sure I jump in the Discord and have a discussion with you guys. I'm going to be capable of doing that. Make sure I have all that other crap on me. But I got some other stuff that, like, I've got some business that needs handled. So that's what we're going to do. No stream makes me sad. Me too, man. Me too. Discord I have on my phone. So I'm able to jump in Discord pretty easy, and open up chats and things like that and be able to talk to you guys about what's going on. So don't worry about that. I want to make sure the true supporters at least can stay up to date. You know what I'm saying? It's important to me. So if you're not a true supporter yet, you're not in Discord, I don't know what's going on with your life. Texas, did you have anything else that you want to close out with?
Oh, just the people that are worried for Israel or the people that are worried for Ukraine, don't be worried. I mean, the best thing you can do is just trust the system, and you'll see the system will work. That's what I can say.
Yeah,
I trust the system. I'm here and I trust the system. So if I do it, then if we do it on the ground over here, then you can do it from far away.
Well, and that's the other thing, right? Like, trust in people, have some patience, stop jumping to conclusions, stop. And I can't say it enough. Like, the amount of like Russian misinformation or disinformation that's been put out in mainstream media. I mean, for the love of God, dude, Tucker Carlson, what the hell, man? You know what I mean? Like, stuff like that. And that infects people's minds. Like, get actual facts and then read a little bit deeper. Like we read into the situation today on that freaking strike over in Russia. 100,000 plus tons. The weapons are on the ground for less than 2 hours. Intelligence that definitely is going to go into that. That is a vast network that goes into making sure all of that stuff's done. I have no doubt, with zero empirical data other than common sense, that the U.S. helped with that. Go ahead.
One more thing before you go. I don't know if you touched on this, or I don't know if you looked into this, but one of the things that Trump discussed with Zelensky, and she mentioned it, is the transfer over control and management of Ukrainian nuclear power plants to the United States.
Yeah.
So if that's a thing, then I'm going to very much assume and guess that part of any sort of agreement that's going to happen and Trump is going to be involved, he's definitely not going to let the Russians control the Zaporizhzhia power plant that we've been trying to get back since day one, which obviously many has failed. So it's just because crossing a river into a direct fortified position is not easy.
That was a conversation I actually had with Nate Vance yesterday.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I have some stories of that one, and I should get you. You know who was on that op multiple times? Our buddy that we have, a mutual buddy, and that I introduced you to a couple of when we were working on the Ethan thing.
Yeah.
That guy in the chat, he's actually been on the ribs doing that op, like trying to cross the river into that still in 22. He's a good contact to talk about it. He's got some footage of that too. Like footage that hasn't been really shown to people, where they're on the physical rubber ribs and trying to push through while RPGs and 30 mils are flying.
You know, there is a, I don't know. I'm not going to get into it right now, but there is a way that it can be done. I do need to sign off though, guys. I do. And I want to thank cheers, brother. Texas. Thanks for your donations. Everybody that's donated today. Thanks for you guys. I really appreciate you. Texas will be in touch.
Yeah. You have a lovely weekend. He's not here anymore.
So what needs to be done is freaking wild, and all of these things are going to happen. So don't worry about it. It's all going to happen. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to appreciate every single one of you for stopping by on today's stream. I appreciate all of you guys for your continuous support. Make sure that you follow the channel. If you haven't already, like and subscribe. Become a true supporter. It's about the cost of a cup of coffee, and it keeps this channel running. So become a true supporter. It's really good. If you enjoy streams like this, and you enjoy biased information when it comes to, like, against Russia, and biased information when it comes against radical Islam and establishing an Islamic caliphate, where everybody's freaking dying under the rule of ISIS and ISIS affiliates, yeah, maybe you should subscribe to this channel. All right. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen,